Welcome to Death Do Us Part. Yeah.
Seriously.
Do you like that?
Well, I just have to put a disclaimer out there. That high-pitched voice that was in the background was not me. That was actually Chris, so...
That was me twice.
Yeah, like 3 times.
So, I'm Chris.
I'm Sam.
And this is Death Do Us Part.
Welcome.
Happy Wicked Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wicked Wednesday.
Thanks for tuning in again.
Yeah, this is our 5th episode. I feel like we hit like a milestone. So go us.
Go us.
Episode 5.
Are you ready for some haunted dolls?
Yeah, but before we get to that, I want to thank everyone, like I always do, for listening and people.
Thank you.
Yeah, people that just heard about us or people that have been with us in the last month because we're going on 1 month too.
Yay!
So, yeah.
I'm
Thank you,
excited.
everyone. And thank you, everyone that's listening to us, like, all over the world. Like, we're, like...
Worldwide.
Yeah, we're worldwide. In the UK, in Germany, Belgium, Canada. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Italy. How can I forget that one?
Don't forget it.
Yeah, because I'm Italian. So...
Shout out Italy.
And then, like... 24 states, so we're halfway there. We're almost halfway there to all 50 states, so that's our goal.
Yeah, 50 states, please. By the end of 2019, we'd like for everyone to hear us in every state.
Yeah,
It's a goal.
all right, so our episode this week is about haunted dolls. And before we get into the episode, I just want to share, my cousin Bianca, she has a YouTube channel, and it's called 90s Kid Collector, and she is a 90s Kid Collector, so she collects all these dolls. So if you guys are interested, whether they're haunted or not, like, she has a whole bunch of dolls on this YouTube channel, and I think it's really cool. And she has an Instagram, same name, 90s Kid Collector. So, with that being said, do you want to get into the haunted dolls?
Most haunted dolls. You're gonna die tonight. This doll will serve you right. When the road looks rough ahead and the doll smiles at the end of your bed, you just remember what that old doll said, that you're gonna die tonight. That you're gonna die tonight. So first up, we have the pupa doll.
Are we just going to ignore that beautiful ballot you just gave us there?
I was trying to weave it into the podcast, all nonchalant.
Well, it was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so give us some info on pupa.
All right, here it comes. I'm giving it to you. Pupa, the doll. Pupa the doll is approximately 14 inches in height, made mostly from felt or felt-like fabric, and was made in the likeness of the little girl who owned the doll. Pupa, Latin for doll, was made for her in Italy in the 1920s, and she owned the doll up until her death in 2005. Pupa's hair is real human hair, although it is believed that the hair was sold to the doll maker rather than the hair of the owner, which is sometimes what people think when they hear the story. She wears a blue dress and a blue bow. The doll was given to the owner's surviving family after she had passed away. Her family put the doll into a display case, and that's when things got strange. Pupa's original owner would say that the doll had a mind of its own. She even claimed that Pupa once saved her life. So back in the display case, after putting Pupa there for a day or two and leaving it alone, the family returned to find that the doll was sitting there with its arms crossed in a disapproving manner. The family began to believe the doll did not want to be in the display case. I don't think I'd let the doll out, but that's just me. From time to time, the family finds children's handprints inside the display case, and it's been said that they also found the words, "Pupa hate," written inside. What do you think?
Wow, that's pretty scary. Because, like, you always hear these stories of these dolls moving in different, like, their positions are just changing. And it's like, you
unsettling.
wonder. Yeah, like, is something possessing it? Like, that's what you're wondering. But is it something good? Or is it something bad? And then when you said that, it said, I keep on wanting to say pupa.
Pupa.
Sorry. Pupa. Sorry. When it says pupa hate, now, is pupa writing that? Or is there another entity that has hate against pupa?
That's a great thought.
So I'm like wondering, is something messing with this doll to make it look like it is this doll?
Like Pupa's actually the good doll.
Yeah,
and then
like the good spirit.
There's something evil like following Pupa around.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Wow.
But I'm with this family. If something like that was happening, I would not want that doll out of the case.
I'd have a few locks on the case.
Yeah. And the handprints, you said. Mm-hmm. Like, I wonder, we got to see if there's like pictures or something, because I wonder, like, was there actual, like, you know, our handprints, we have all the lines and everything like that, like fingerprints. I'm wondering if there was any type of...
If there were fingerprints.
Or did it look like a doll hand on there? Oh. So, like, what?
What if the police could trace it to an actual, like, you know, person that the spirit already belongs to?
Yes, that's what I was just thinking. Whew. That was a good one, Christopher.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to bring you guys the Mandy doll. The Mandy doll is a 90-year-old porcelain doll made in the United Nations. It was donated to a museum in British Columbia, Canada in the year of 1991, the year I was born. The previous owner donated the doll because the doll was freaking her out too much. This woman that did not have kids would hear a baby crying in her basement. When she investigated, no one was there. At that moment, she noticed that the window was open and there would be wind blowing through the curtains. After getting rid of Mandy, the previous owner had no more strange things happening at home. The museum, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. Things would go missing, lunches would be gone and then found in drawers, as well as footsteps being heard with no one there. The museum put Mandy in her own case, far, far away from the other dolls on display. Likely story. The staff members weren't sure why Mandy was locked away. Mandy was left in a room overnight, and the next morning the staff members went in to find papers thrown everywhere, as if Mandy had trashed the room. People claim to feel very sad around the doll. She also gives electrical devices problems, such as monitors, computers, and phones. People even claim that Mandy taps on the glass of her display case. Others believe that she is just a child crying out for attention and isn't out to harm anyone. People feel maybe that Mandy is evil because of her presence. Her presence makes them very sad and uneasy, and staff members now give Mandy attention as if she is a real child or baby. When they hear Mandy the doll tapping on the glass, the staff goes up to the case and takes her out, and they carry her around or rock her in their arms or even have her sit on their lap. Every year, people still come to the museum just to see Mandy. Every year, something strange happens. Do you believe that Mandy has a supernatural link? You can go and visit her at the Quesnel and District Museum and Archives.
Mandy sounds cute.
She does, and I feel kind of bad that, like, because it's like it seems to me that it could be a child's spirit trapped inside of this doll. Mm-hmm. Because if she kind of settles down and stops doing crazy things when they put her on their lap, that's pretty much how a child is.
Right.
So it's sad if the child's soul is stuck in that doll. But the good part about that is, at least the staff that works there is kind to her. Right. And they carry her like she's a real baby around the place.
You gotta make the best with what you got.
Exactly. So I think that she's in good hands.
Yeah.
But hopefully,
shout out British Columbia Museum.
Yeah, but hopefully at some point, like, they can have someone come in, and if it is a spirit of a child, like, have that child go to rest, like, not stay trapped in this box.
Ideally.
Yeah. I mean, you hear that happen sometimes.
Why hasn't anyone tried yet?
I don't know. Maybe we should look into that.
Yeah.
Do they have a suggestion box? Because we can maybe give a suggestion.
Yeah, definitely need to look into the suggestion box at the museum.
Yeah, because if it is a child, it makes me sad.
Oh, just a reminder, you can write in with your stories at deathdouspart
Paranormal.
at gmail.com. Do is spelled D-U-E, like a fine.
Like something to do.
Yeah. Pay
Right
your fine.
We usually read our paranormal listener stories every week. So if you have a paranormal story that you would like us to read, send it to the email Chris just said.
Are you ready for the Harold doll?
Yes, I am.
The Harold doll is claimed to be one of the most haunted dolls in the world. The first owner was an elderly man who owned Harold for 60 years. He had bought the doll for his son, who passed away a few years later from causes unbeknownst. After the man's son died, the family began to experience very disturbing paranormal activity from the doll. Things like showing human emotion, laughing, crying, and more. The owner was freaked out, so he took the doll to a priest for some help. The priest was convinced that the doll was evil and must be burned. Spoiler alert, it just wouldn't burn. You couldn't set the thing on fire. The man was like, not my problem, and sold it to a person at a local flea market. A woman that came into contact with the doll years later decided to tempt fate and look Harold in the eyes. A month later, she had developed a brain tumor and ended up dying. It is believed that Harold is very dangerous and that he makes people sick and die.
First of all, you want to hear my first thought on this story?
Please.
Why in the hell would this guy sell this doll to somebody else? If he already knew that it was dangerous and he already knew that it wouldn't burn in a fire in the presence of a priest, why would he risk somebody else's life and sell it?
Because why bury it or lock it away in a chest?
Put it in a trash bag and get it crushed in the trash truck. That's what I would do.
Or, tie some rocks to it and throw it in a river.
Exactly. Get rid of that thing. Do not let it go into the hands of another.
No, you want to make some cash.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder, did he give any background on it? How much money did he make off of it?
It's the goddamn baby boomers. They're all about that dollar.
So that is my initial thought on listening to that, because
Any baby boomers listening, I'm just kidding. But you guys, you got the money.
It got serious, though, because this lady, she got this doll. She looked at it and somehow got sick and got a brain tumor and died.
Yeah, it's scary.
So there's just like this horrible, like,
Not to mention his son dying after he gave it to him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course.
Of course.
But so there's just this black cloud following this doll.
Yeah.
This dark entity following this doll.
Pretty scary, honestly.
And what are the... Oh, my God. What is the odds, or what? How did this thing not burn? What is it made out of?
Devil.
Yeah, I guess so. Whew. Well, that was a good one. I never heard of that one. And also, the pictures of these dolls, guys, we're going to put up on our Facebook page, and we're going to put up on our Instagram as well, so you guys can get like a better visual of what we're seeing here. But these are some crazy, crazy stories.
We have one more haunted doll left for you.
We do. And this is the Robert doll. Robert is an alleged haunted doll. The doll originally belonged to Robert Eugene Otto, aka Gene. He was an artist and a painter who belonged to a prominent Key West family. The doll was manufactured by the Seif Company out of Germany, and one version of the story says it was purchased by Otto's grandfather while he was on a trip to Germany in 1904, and the doll was given to Otto as a birthday gift. Others who believe in Robert's supernatural abilities stick to the more mysterious version that a maid of the Otto family, a young girl of the Bahamian descent, embedded the doll with voodoo magic and gifted it to young Robert as a retaliation for his wrongdoings.
The Robert doll is dressed in a sailor suit, which is likely because Otto wore similar outfits as a child. Otto studied art in New York and Paris. While he was doing that, the doll remained stored at his family home in the Key West. Otto married in May of 1930 and returned to his family home until he passed away in the year of 1974. His wife died 2 years later. What people really remember is what they would probably term as an unhealthy relationship with a doll, said Corey Convertito, a Robert the Doll expert. Corey says, "He brought it everywhere. He talked about it in the first person, as if he weren't a doll. He was Robert, as in he is alive." Once Otto was in school and married, the Robert doll was no longer being carried around. Robert the doll took up a permanent position in a chair facing out of an upstairs window where he could be seen by passers-by below. Though the placement was a playful one, people who passed by were soon avoiding walking past the house altogether. They would swear that the doll would disappear and reappear facing another direction, or that his gaze would follow them as they passed. Once, a plumber who had been hired to make repairs around the Otto's home claimed to hear the children's laughter, though Jean was not at home at the time. When he looked around the room, he noticed that Robert the doll had moved from one side of it to the other, seemingly on his own. What's more, the plumber swore that toys and objects that had been in Robert's lap ended up on the other side of the room, as if he had thrown them. Visitors to the artist's house claimed that they would hear footsteps coming from the attic, and that things would seem to move around the home on their own with no explanation. After Otto died in 1974, a woman named Myrtle Reuter purchased the home. Along with the beautiful colonial Queen Anne abode, Reuter came into the ownership of some of his contents, including Robert the doll.
For 20 years, she lived with Robert, even taking him with her when she moved to a new home in the 1980s. And for 20 years, he would move around all by himself. Finally, she donated him to the Fort East Martello Museum, citing one reason for her donation: the doll was haunted. The museum took on the doll, assuming that Reuter's claims were just the silly rantings of an old woman. The staff did not put him on display, instead keeping him in a storeroom until he could be incorporated into their exhibits.
Almost as soon as Robert the doll arrived, however, so did numerous visitors wanting to see him. Despite no press being released on Robert, people somehow learned that the museum had a haunted doll. Letters also began arriving from people begging Robert for forgiveness or offering apologies for the disrespect they caused. Eventually, the museum appeased their visitors and put the mysterious doll on display. Today, Robert the doll sits safely behind glass, rarely taken from his case. People still visit daily hoping to catch a glimpse of him moving. Even after 115 years, his powers seem to be as sharp as ever. Visitors claim that cameras malfunction in his presence and electronics devices go haywire.
That is pretty creepy. And I pulled up some letters that people write to Robert to ask for forgiveness. Apparently, people have done things such as take pictures of Robert, like going to the museum. They will take pictures of Robert in the case, and then like really bad things will happen afterwards. So one example of a letter that someone wrote Robert is, "Dear Robert, hello Robert, how are you? I'm not good. I have a backache. I don't know why my back is hurting. Then I remember you. 2 months ago, I took a picture of you. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that I couldn't take a picture of you. Should I delete the picture? I must apologize for the delay of sending you this note. I don't know how I can apologize, so I'm writing this letter. I'm so sorry. I hope your life is very good." So little things, they think it's like her back hurting. My back hurts every day.
Yeah.
But little things like that, they think it's because of she betrayed Robert. So that's, and in the case, there's literally like all these notes behind him. So another one, "Dear Robert, please forgive my friend for not asking your permission before taking your picture." So most of them are because of them taking pictures.
Is there a sign up at the museum?
I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that. But he's just pretty much writing on behalf of his friend about taking a picture. So I guess like really bad things happen when pictures are taken. So let's see. This is another one. "Robert, sorry I did not ask out loud to take your photo. Since then,
so
my husband lost his diamond
tennis bracelet?
I don't know.
Grills?
Oh, his diamond cut off of his ring." So anything in life can happen, and then they're kind of like
Going back to
going
Robert
back to
being
the Robert doll.
cause.
Like, they're thinking, like, oh my God, I'm cursed.
But
I shouldn't have done that.
I mean, maybe it's a feeling you get when you see the doll that makes you believe in the doll.
Maybe.
You know?
Or maybe because it sounds like they don't think anything of it at first, but then after they're like, in hindsight, it's like in their mind, they're like, oh shit.
Robert comes to them and it's like, you fucked up.
Or he sends some sort of black magic power to them and it just does some bad things. And
I'm not looking at the pictures you post on Instagram.
okay, well, at least we're not taking pictures.
That's true. Maybe we can take one little look at our Instagram.
Yeah. So
Death Do Us Part at Instagram.
Death Do Us Part, yeah.
Is it
Guys,
spelled
follow
correct
us.
or is it spelled like
It's spelled
email?
correctly. Death Do Us Part
okay.
Paranormal on Instagram. But this is all of our haunted dolls for our most haunted doll segment.
Right.
But we have one more, and it's for our
Haunted History.
For our haunted history this week, we're going to talk about the famous Annabelle doll. As many of you know from the movie The Conjuring. In the movie, the doll is a very freaky looking porcelain-style doll that is meant to be an image of a child with long hair. However, the real Annabelle doll, the one in the late Lorraine Warren's museum, is a pretty basic looking classic Raggedy Ann doll with red yarn for hair. The Raggedy Ann doll at the Warren's museum is no ordinary doll, however. According to Lorraine Warren, the doll is possessed by an inhumane spirit. The true story of the Annabelle doll began in 1970 when a 28-year-old nurse named Angie received the Raggedy Ann doll as a birthday gift from her mom. Pretty odd that a 28-year-old would get a doll as a gift, but to each their own. That night, she put the doll down on her bed and started to notice that the doll was changing positions on her own. Such movements where the legs would be crossed or it would be lying on its side. Angie and her roommate Donna started finding parchment paper on the floor of the house with the words, "Help me, help us," written out. It was noted that they did not own any parchment paper and they were both not sure how it got into the house. One night, Donna came home to find the doll had moved again. This time, it was on her bed. Donna had come to find that this was typical of the doll, but somehow she knew this time it was different. Something just wasn't right. A sense of fear came over her when she inspected the doll and saw what looked like blood drops on the back of its hands and chest. Seemingly out of nowhere, a liquidy red substance had appeared on the doll. Not knowing where to turn, they contacted a medium, and a seance was held. Donna was then introduced to the spirit of Annabelle Higgins. The medium related the story of Annabelle to both Donna and Angie. Annabelle was a young girl that resided on the property before the apartments were built. They were happy times. She was a young girl of only 7 years old when her lifeless body was found in a field upon which the apartment complex now stands. The spirit related to the medium that she felt comfort with Donna and Angie and she wanted to stay with them and be loved. Feeling compassion for Annabelle and her story, Donna gave her permission to inhabit the doll and stay with them. They soon found out that Annabelle was not who she appeared to be. There was a point in time where a friend named Lou, who stayed at the girl's house often, suddenly awoke from his sleep. At first he didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but then he looked down towards his feet and saw the Annabelle doll. The doll began to slowly glide up his legs, then over his chest, and then she just stopped. Within seconds, the doll started to strangle him. Lou was said to be paralyzed and gasping for air. He blacked out and woke up hours later the next morning. He was sure that what he experienced was not a dream. Lou was determined to rid himself of that doll and the spirit that possessed it. Lou, however, would have one more terrifying experience with Annabelle. The next day, Lou and Angie were reading over some maps preparing for a road trip. It was just the two of them in the house, and the apartment seemed eerily quiet. Out of nowhere, a rustling sound came from Donna's room. They both panicked because they thought someone had possibly broken into the apartment. Lou was determined to figure out who or what it was. he very quietly made his way to the bedroom door. He waited a second for the noise to stop and then entered. The room was empty except for Annabelle. She was tossed on the floor in the corner. Lou looked throughout the room to see if there was any forced entry, but nothing was out of place. As he got closer to the doll, he got a frightening, strong feeling that somebody was behind him. Lou turned around and saw no one was there. In a quick flash, he then found himself grabbing his chest, doubled over, and was cut and bleeding. He unbuttoned his shirt, and he noticed that it was stained with blood. When he opened the shirt, he realized that there were 7 claw marks, 3 vertically and 4 horizontally. All were hot like burns. The cuts ended up clearing up almost immediately, half of them did, and the other half were unseen just the next day. Donna finally was willing to believe that the spirit in the house was not that of a young girl, but an inhumane and demonic in nature.
So that medium fucked up.
Oh yeah, she was fake. She was definitely fake. She was just probably trying to take their money, try to tell them this, and be on her way.
Hustlers.
Whew, okay. After Lou's experience, Donna felt it was time to seek a real expert and get some advice on what was going on. And she contacted a priest named Father Hagen. Father Hagen felt it was a spiritual matter and felt he needed to contact a higher authority in the church. So he contacted Father Cook, who immediately contacted the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren immediately took interest in the case and contacted Donna concerning the doll. The Warrens, after speaking with Donna and Angie and Lou, came to the immediate conclusion that the doll itself was not in fact possessed, but manipulated by an inhumane presence. Spirits do not possess inanimate objects, like houses or toys. They possess people. An inhumane spirit can attach itself to a place or object, and this is what occurred in the Annabelle case.
Okay.
This spirit manipulated the doll and created the illusion of it being alive in order to get recognition. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll. It was looking to possess a human host.
Oh no.
The spirit, or in this case, an inhumane demonic spirit, was essentially in the infestation stage of the phenomenon. It first began moving the doll around the apartment by means of teleportation to arouse the occupants' curiosity in hopes that they would give it recognition. They then made the huge mistake of bringing in a medium into the apartment to communicate with it. The inhumane spirit, now able to communicate through the medium, preyed on the girl's emotional vulnerabilities by pretending to be a rather harmless, lost young girl, with which during the seance was allowed permission from Donna to haunt the apartment.
Oops. It then set out, causing negative phenomena to occur. It aroused fear through the weird movements of the doll. It brought about the materialization of disturbing handwritten notes, the symbolic drops of blood on the doll, and ultimately it even attacked Lou, leaving behind the symbolic mark of the beast. The next stage of the infestation phenomenon would have been complete human possession. Had these experiences lasted another 2 or 3 more weeks, the spirit would have completely possessed, if not harmed or killed, one or all of the occupants in the house. At the conclusion of the investigation, the Warrens felt it appropriate to have a recitation of an exorcism blessing by Father Cook to cleanse the apartment. The blessing of the home is a wordy 7-page document that is distinctly positive in nature. Rather than specifically expelling evil entities from the dwelling, the emphasis is instead directed toward filling the home with the power of the positive end of God. Now that's Ed Warren, and is believed instead of trying to push a dark spirit out, you want to make room for good spirits to come in and let them do the work.
Oh, okay.
Right? So at Donna's request, and as a further precaution against the phenomena ever occurring in the home again, the Warrens took the big rag doll along with them when they left. Father Cook, although uncomfortable with his role as an exorcist, agreed to perform the 7-page rite of exorcism, a doctrine he recited throughout the apartment, at which point the Warrens were confident the entity would no longer reside there. They agreed to take the rag doll back home with them. Upon leaving, Ed placed the doll in the back seat and agreed he would not take the interstate in the event the inhumane spirit still resided with the doll. His suspicions were all too correct. In no time, the Warrens felt themselves as the object of a vicious hatred. Then at each dangerous curve, the car swerved and stalled with every corner, causing the power steering and brakes to fail. Repeatedly, the car verged on collision. Ed reached into the back seat and in his black bag took out a vial of holy water and doused the doll, making the sign of the cross over it.
The disturbances stopped almost immediately, and the Warrens arrived home safely. After they got home, Ed sat the doll in a chair next to his desk. The doll levitated a number of times in the beginning, and then it seemed to fall inert. During the ensuing weeks, however, it began showing up in various rooms of the house. When the Warrens were away and had the doll locked up in the outer office building, they would often return to find it sitting comfortably upstairs in Ed's easy chair when they opened the main front door. The doll also showed a hatred for clergymen who came into the house. In one instance, Father Jason Bradford, a Catholic exorcist, came to the house. Upon seeing the doll seated in the chair, he picked it up and said, "You're just a rag doll, Annabelle. You can't hurt anyone," and tossed the doll back in the chair, at which point Ed exclaimed, "That's one thing you better not say." Upon leaving an hour later, Lorraine pleaded to the priest to please be careful driving and to call when he arrived home.
Lorraine discerned tragedy for this young priest, but he had to go his way. A few hours later, Father Jason called Lorraine and explained that his brakes had failed as he entered a busy intersection. He was involved in a near-fatal accident, destroying his vehicle. This was just one of many such events that occurred over the next few years. The Warrens had a special case built for Annabelle inside the occult museum where she resides to this day. Since the case was built, Annabelle no longer appeared to move, but she is thought to be responsible for the death of a young man who came to the museum on a motorcycle with his girlfriend. The young man, after hearing Ed's account of the doll, defiantly went up and began to bang on the case, insisting that if the doll can put scratches on people, then he wanted to be scratched. Ed said to the young man, "Son, you need to leave," and put him out of the building. On the way home, the young man and his girlfriend were laughing and making fun of the doll when he lost control of his motorcycle and went head-on into a tree.
Oh my God.
The young man was killed instantly, but his girlfriend survived and was hospitalized for over a year.
Oh, that must have been a bad injury.
When asked what happened, the young woman explained that they were laughing about the doll when they lost control of the motorcycle. Ed warns you, do not challenge evil, that no man is more powerful than Satan.
What'd you think of that one, Chris?
I thought it was pretty scary. I think it was scarier than the other ones, besides the one that makes you sick.
Yeah. Well, that's the one. That's why I chose it as our haunted history, because everyone knows of the Annabelle doll from The Conjuring, and it's just a crazy story. Like everything that happened. Like, what does "help me, help us" mean? Like, I'm trying to figure that part out, and the fact that like this fake medium said that it was this little girl. Now, was she making this up, or was she really
Was she deceived?
Was she deceived? Yeah. So, but Lorraine Warren actually passed away just a couple months ago, so I'm wondering, because the occult museum where Annabelle is and all the other like possessed stuff is it's at her house, which is a museum.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, what's going to happen to the Annabelle doll? We got to look that up and see. Because I've always wanted to go there. I've always said that.
I'm sure someone like us will get their hands on it, keep it safe.
Oh, my God. We could never. I won't even allow Ouija boards in my house, so I could never have the Annabelle doll.
A little piece of horror. I tried to do it like you.
If you want to do it like me, you got to do it like this. A little piece of horror. Oh, wait, hold on. That one was rusty. Let me try again. A little piece of horror.
That was, I think you're going to take over the little piece of horror duties from now on.
Thank you. I feel honored.
That was amazing.
All right, so you want to tell our listeners what this little piece of horror is about?
We are going to do our little piece of horror on The Bride of Chucky.
Of course, because we've done dolls this whole episode.
It's doll 30.
So if you haven't seen Chucky, as you know, or Child's Play, whatever you want to call it, it's a doll that is actually possessed.
A little child's doll.
Yeah, that's possessed from a spirit. Very rotten
A rotten crook spirit.
Yeah.
Dirty,
And then,
rotten.
of course, in Chucky's Bride, or Bride of Chucky, what's it called?
He has a bride.
Yeah. Jennifer
who loved
Tilly,
him when he
Tiffany.
was not a doll. Found out that he was a doll and became a doll herself to be with him.
But didn't Chucky... I'm pretty sure that Chucky... She got electrocuted in the tub.
Yeah, he didn't... He wasn't
So I
very,
think he had parts in it. Because
he
she
wasn't
locked
very
him up.
nice, too.
Right. She locked him up in like a crib.
Yeah. She kind of
So-
like little boyed him on that.
He came back for revenge. So anyway, we're going to give some facts. Regardless if it's about Bride of Chucky, Child's Play, whatever. Because there's like a million Chuckies. So Chris, you want to give us some facts and then we'll play our favorite parts?
Fun fact number 1. Tiffany's bathtub death was intended for Maggie in the original Child's Play. So get this. In the commentary for The Bride of Chucky, the writer Don Mancini reveals that Tiffany's bathtub electrocution was originally scripted for the first installment of the Chucky franchise, and that Maggie Peterson, the babysitter, ended up being bludgeoned and falling out of a window instead of being electrocuted in the tub. So he didn't want that to go to waste and used it for the reboot of the franchise. And that's...
It worked out like perfectly. And
we were just talking about that.
Right, exactly. So a fact I have is that Chucky's full name is Charles Lee Ray. It's an illusion of 3 notorious serial killers. Charles Manson, who we all know who Charles Manson is, Lee Harvey Oswald, the sniper who assassinated John F. Kennedy in 1963, and James Earl Ray, the man who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, so they used everyone's name.
Yeah, they kind of just combined it into one name.
At least
Charles Lee Ray.
At least they didn't use Josh.
Yeah. Goes back to our Friday the 13th episode. If you haven't listened, you should listen.
Josh. No, Josh. All right, so I have one that I think is interesting because I really like my right hand. I don't know what I would do if I lost it. So in the original trilogy, Chucky doesn't make it through a film with both hands. Every single movie he tends to lose his right hand.
Really?
In each of the, go back and watch. And
Yeah, I have to watch the original.
So Andy's mother shoots his hand off with a gun at the end of Child's Play. During the second film, Chucky rips his own hand off while escaping, replacing the limb with a knife. And in the third installment, Andy gets his chance to chop the hand off. So the tradition is honored in the trilogy sequels. In Seed of Chucky, the killer's doll's own progeny, Glenn, hacks Chucky's hand off with an axe. And while Chucky dies multi-dexterous in Bride of Chucky, at the start of the film, Tiffany replaces the missing limb when repairing the damaged doll. So he would have been missing a hand if Tiffany had not fixed it in the first place.
Oh.
Yeah, so I guess that's what it means when you say multi-dexterous. It means you have both your hands. So I'm proud to say I'm multi-dexterous. Hashtag both hands living strong. Hashtag.
I guess I'm multi-dexterous too. Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
I've never used that word before. All right, so I don't necessarily think that Chucky is scary at all, especially The
No?
Bride of Chucky. It's more comical than anything.
I thought it was pretty scary when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, if you watch the original Child's Play, it is pretty... It's a little scary if you're little watching
like in
it.
the factory? Or
Yeah,
whatnot?
like the factory scenes. But since we're focusing on The Bride of Chucky with like our scenes, I'm going to play like the funniest parts. So let's play a clip of my favorite funniest part.
You know, if I had known that marriage was such a great gig, I would have never have waited this long to tie a knot.
On the other hand, she's not much of a housekeeper, is she?
Tiff? Those dishes aren't gonna wash themselves, you know.
You were nice enough to cook for him. The least he could do was wash a dish.
What are you doing? What would Martha Stewart say?
Fuck Martha Stewart! Martha Stewart can kiss my shiny plastic butt! Here I am slaving away over a hot stove, making cookies, making Swedish meatballs, and for what? For a man who doesn't appreciate me! For a man who can't even wash one fucking dish! For a man who isn't even a man at all where it counts, if you get my drift! take it from me, honey. Plastic is no substitute for a nice hunk of wood.
I didn't hear her complaining last night. Any guy would need a hunk of plastic, probably battery operated, to get a reaction out of you in bed. And by the way, where the hell did you learn to bake?
I don't know how anybody can find this movie scary at all. Like, two dolls are going back and forth. One doll's making meatballs and baking cookies, and then they're bitching about their sex life. It's so funny. So I don't have the scariest part for this movie. That was just one of the parts I thought was so funny.
I don't think it was more of like a gore and thriller and like.
Yeah, like I looked it up and it was
fun.
considered like a black comedy.
Yeah, it's fun.
So
I enjoy it.
I love that movie.
Well,
I
I would give Bride of Chucky a 4 out of 5 knife arms.
Comedy, I would probably give it a 4. So yeah, I'm sticking with that.
Yeah.
Horror, like this, this.
I'll give the classic Child's Play a 5 out of 5.
Yeah,
knife
I
arms.
would do that for the classic one as well. I would give it a 5 out of 5. Little Chucky doll faces.
Overall, the entire series, I think it stands up to time. It's not as, I would say, it's not as renowned as some of the other ones we've covered, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th, but I would say it's up there in the same echelon, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, because it's one of them classics.
Yeah, so I would give it the overall series, I would give it a solid 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Maybe knock it down to a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I was leaning towards there, but I just wanted to agree with my babe.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you guys for listening. I feel like we gave you like an overload of different stories, so we're going to skip the paranormal box tonight.
Sorry about that, everyone. We know you love the paranormal box, but we need you to keep writing in.
Yeah, write in. And then if you guys want us to talk about something in specific, like, I don't know, if you have like stories that happened that weren't like, that's kind of like true crime, that's not really out there, and you want us to talk about it, or you have a movie that you want us to kind of review or find facts on, or even watch, like us just watch it. Write into us, write your paranormal stories, send your, whatever you want us to talk about to Death Do Us Part, do spelled D-U-E, paranormal@gmail.com. And please don't forget to rate, don't forget to subscribe, review, and tell a friend. And everyone have a great Wicked Wednesday. Good night.
Those feelings pleasuring.